For decades, prophecy teachers have pointed toward the extreme north and warned that a Russian-led invasion of Israel is imminent. This has become the popular mainstream view. The idea that Rosh is Russia, Meshech is Moscow, and Tubal is Tobolsk. But what if this entire framework is built on a series of translation errors and inconsistent logic? What if the Bible isn't pointing to Moscow, but to a different regional superpower altogether? Today, we are diving deep into the sources to uncover the real identity of Gog and Magog, debunking the Russian hypothesis and revealing a far more scripturally consistent candidate: Turkey and a Middle Eastern Islamic coalition. First, we have to get the basics right. In the popular mind, Gog and Magog are often lumped together as a pair of nations or two individuals. However, the sources clarify that Gog is a person, specifically a ruler or chief prince, and Magog is his land. Ezekiel 38 verse 2 says, "Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal." We learn here that Gog is a specific eschatological figure, while Magog, Meshech, and Tubal are the geographical regions under his authority. Furthermore, this Gog isn't just any leader. The sources argue that he is a chief principality or an angelic-level prince, similar to the prince of Persia mentioned in Daniel 10. This implies that the human ruler we see on the world stage will be the physical manifestation of a powerful, demonic spiritual entity. So, why do so many people think this leader is Russian? It usually comes down to one word: Rosh. In older translations like the King James Version, Ezekiel 38 verse 2 refers to the Prince of Rosh. Prophecy teachers saw Rosh and thought it sounded like Russia. However, the sources show that modern Hebrew scholarship has almost universally rejected this. The word Rosh in Hebrew is an adjective meaning chief or head, not a proper noun for a location. This is why modern translations like the NIV, ESV, and NASB translate the phrase as chief prince rather than Prince of Rosh. Tracing Rosh to Russia is essentially trying to build a major end times doctrine on a 200-year-old misunderstanding of Hebrew grammar. If Rosh isn't a place, the primary linguistic link to Russia completely vanishes. The second argument for Russia involves the Scythians. The historian Josephus once mentioned that the Magogites were called Scythians by the Greeks, because some Scythians eventually migrated north of the Black Sea into modern-day Russia. Teachers claim Magog must be Russia. But there is a massive logical inconsistency here. If you use the migration method for Magog, you must also use it for the other nations in the list. For example, the Kushites migrated into Central and Southern Africa, and the descendants of Gomer, the Gauls, migrated into Western Europe. Yet no prophecy teacher claims that Ireland or Kenya are part of the Gog and Magog invasion. They keep Persia as Iran, Kush as Sudan, and put as Libya based on where they lived when Ezekiel wrote the prophecy. To be consistent, we must identify Magog, Meshech, and Tubal based on their original locations in Ezekiel's day, which was Asia Minor or modern-day Turkey. When we look at historical records like Herodotus, Pliny the Elder, and even the Talmud, Magog is consistently placed in Asia Minor, Turkey. Cappadocia and Hierapolis were historically identified as the heartland of Magog. This shifts the entire prophetic focus. If Gog is a Turkish leader, it means the coming invasion is not a Cold War leftovers battle, but a Middle Eastern Islamic coalition. Look at the allies listed: Persia, Iran, Kush, Sudan, Put, Libya, Gomer, and Beth Togarmah, both in Turkey. Every single nation mentioned in Ezekiel 38 is a Muslim-majority nation today. Turkey was the former seat of the Ottoman Empire, the Caliphate, which was the last great empire to rule over Jerusalem. The sources suggest we are seeing a revival of this caliphate, led by a Turkish Gog figure who seeks to unite the Islamic world for a final march on Jerusalem. Here is the slam dunk argument. Gog is simply another title for the Antichrist. In Ezekiel 38 verse 17, God asked Gog, "Are you not the one I spoke of in former days by my servants, the prophets of Israel?" If Gog is a separate figure who invades before the Antichrist, then where did the earlier prophets speak of him? They didn't. They spoke of the Assyrian, the little horn, and the king of the north. The descriptions of Gog's defeat also perfectly match the defeat of the Antichrist in Revelation. Both involve a massive earthquake, hailstones, and the Great Supper of God, where birds and animals feast on the fallen armies. These aren't two different wars. They are different trailers for the same final event, the return of Jesus Christ to destroy the Antichrist, Gog, and save the remnant of Israel. Why does this matter for you? Because as long as the church is looking for a Russian invasion or a European Antichrist, it will be blind to the actual Middle Eastern storm currently brewing on Israel's doorstep. The identity of Gog and Magog reveals that the final conflict is religious and regional, centered on who will rule from Zion, the God of the Bible or the false system of the Antichrist. The pieces are falling into place: a restored Israel, a rising Turkey, and a forming Middle Eastern coalition. It's time to stop looking at tabloids and start looking at the consistent testimony of the prophets. If this deep dive helped you understand the scriptures better, hit that like button and subscribe. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Turkey is the real candidate for Magog?